You are listening to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast, a show by personal trainers for personal trainers. It's time to become a better trainer, get more clients, and change more lives. And now, here's your host, the head coach and founder of Fitness Mentors, Eddie Lester.
Hey guys, welcome to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast, episode number 6, in which we're going to be talking about the best personal training certification. And specifically, we're going to be going over a blog that we've had on our site for almost 2 years now that we've been updating to really match, what the best personal training certification is. And the way that we kind of talk about these standards is really, what personal training certification might fit you best. And for those of you that are already certified, you'll definitely have your opinion on exactly which one you went with and why. And this is really for those people that are kind of in that discovery process around becoming a personal trainer, and really, or maybe someone that might want a new certification, something that might, mix up their education a little bit. And we're going to really be talking about, a lot of factors around the accreditation, the price of the certification, the different pass rates for each certification, expected study time, how long it's going to take to get through the certification, the number of test questions. If you're scared about taking tests, that might matter. Also, the CEU requirements, that's important as far as how many hours of continuing education you need to recertify your certification. The popularity of the certification, the primary focus of education, in the sense of what does each certification focus on the most in their education, as well as things like average income from each certification, which may not matter as much now that we're moving into more of a technological personal training online world, and that's going to be changing significantly as far as expected income when you start to think about personal training in the future. And then also a retake fee. How much is it if you fail? Which hopefully, if you're using either our study materials or taking our certification test, we can prepare you best so that you do not fail. But with that in mind, we're going to be covering certifications like NASM, like ACE, like Fitness Mentors, NSCA, ACSM, NESTA, the NCCPT, NCSF, ISSA, AFA or AFAA, and then the NFPT. And I know those acronyms might not mean a lot to you, but if you go onto our website under fitnessmentors.com/best personal training certification, or just check out our blog, you'll see it right there. You can follow along with us, or you can kind of, just listen and learn about each of these certifications and kind of how they uniquely bring something great to the industry. So with that in mind, as we kind of start to think about, you getting started as a personal trainer, we wanted to really answer some questions before we get into the nitty-gritty around each certification. Some basic questions that people always have when getting into the industry include things like, how do you get certified as a personal trainer? And we wanted to provide some basic, we'll say, criteria that you need to meet. You need to be 18 years of age typically. And this is pretty much U.S. recommendations, but pretty much worldwide. In order to be hired as a personal trainer, you do need to be 18 years of age, typically a high school diploma or equivalent, like a GED. And then you typically, to get hired as a personal trainer, you need to have your CPR certification. So most certification companies do require that before you test. And next question that most people, or that very, very common to getting started as a personal trainer is how much does it cost to get certified as a personal trainer? And every certification is going to be a little bit different, as well as the education route that you choose. But typically, it ranges from around $400 all the way to about anywhere from $800. And then there are packages that go above $1,000, depending on the type of education experience that you're looking for. Next question that's very common to new people getting started as a personal trainer is, how long are personal training certifications good for? So most certifications, this is just the general rule of thumb, most certifications last for 2 years from the date that you take and pass the exam. That's very common. Some are a little longer, but 2 years is very common. Next one is what's going to be the cheapest or least expensive personal training certification. And there's a few that fall around that $400 mark as far as their introductory package. Fitness Mentors personal training certification is listed at $399. I know Nesta's in that low 400s as well. So as far as the cheapest personal training certification, that's going to be those. And what's the easiest personal training certification? So it's very subjective, but the exam, we'll say, with the highest pass rate, meaning the most people that take it pass it, is actually going to be ISSA. And ISSA, that's because it is we'll say a test that you can complete over a few weeks, and you slowly complete objectives that lead to you completing this test. And yeah, basically it has no time limit, so that makes people feel pretty comfortable in moving forward with that. And then also, how long does it take to become a personal trainer? Very commonly, basically there's different methods of becoming a personal trainer. If you're studying on your own, it can take anywhere from about 2 to 6 months to get through the entire program, depending on how much time per day you can spend. Also, if you're thinking about maybe doing it through a college program, like a vocational college, anywhere from about 30 to 42 weeks, as those are typically like 900-hour programs that are in person. Also, you have your university programs, which can be, take upwards of 4 years. And then also, if you maybe go through a gym, just like a non-accredited, go to a gym and get their personal training certification, typically it's around 90 hours of live hands-on work within that gym. So with that in mind, when we start to think about our first key objective, or the first key topic we're going to be talking about, is going to be accreditation. And accreditation is basically going to give each of the certifications, we'll say, the industry recognition and kind of national recognition that allows gyms to accept it as proof of being a personal trainer, of having the education or entry-level education necessary to be a certified personal trainer, to train people safely. That's kind of it. And pretty much with exception of AFA and ISSA, every one of the personal training certifications that I listed earlier, your NASM, your ACE, your fitness mentors, your NFPTs, your NSCAs, NCSFs, so there's a lot of acronyms I'm throwing at you there, but all of them have the option for NCCA accreditation. And so yeah, pretty much we're talking about the top tier certifications in the industry. We compare about 11 on our blog, and that's kind of what I'm going over right now. But as we start to think about this further, there's 2 that do not currently have the NCCA accreditation. That's going to be AFA, AFAA, as well as ISSA. And that's because those, I think AFA is in the process of becoming NCCA accredited, and then ISSA chose to go a different route with the DEAC, which is the Distance Education Accrediting Commission. It's basically more of this is why their test can be a little bit more longer and drawn out and not all at once, because it's more of a distance education accreditation as opposed to we'll say, industry employment accreditation, which is more an NCCA. And when we think about kind of the gold standard of accrediting bodies, the NCCA, National Commission of Certifying Agencies, is, we'll say, the top tier accreditation that if you're looking to work in a gym, you will most likely need. Not all gyms require that. Some do accept, or actually most do accept NBFE, national recognition as well. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit further down the road. But once again, ISSA is pretty much the only one that doesn't have NCCA accreditation, but they do have accreditation through the DEAC, which, just kind of overall, when we start to think about the why you might want or not really care about an accreditation, is if you plan on working at the major gyms, your 24-Hour Fitness, LA Fitness, maybe Lifetime, some of those, we'll say, top tier, most, we'll say, nationwide renowned gyms, those typically do require NCCA accreditation. But just kind of going over this a little bit further, the personal training certifications with the option for NCCA accreditation include NASM, ACE, Fitness Mentors, NSCA, ACSM, NESTA, NCCPT, NCSF, and NFPT. The personal training certifications with national recognition or affiliation from the National Board of Fitness Examiners. This is your NBFE, and they've recently, tried to really provide a standard for what education should look like in the fitness industry. And they also have a kind of a national exam that they sometimes or that they utilize to kind of overly, or we'll say to, or that they utilize to give to students that can kind of be affiliated with them, is the National Board of Fitness Examiners. Affiliations are Fitness Mentors, NESTA, NCCPT, as well as ISSA. And then, once again, that one by itself with the DEAC, Distance Education Accrediting Commission, is ISSA, just a little bit different version kind of the NCCA. Not quite as, we'll say, accepted, but when we start to think about the takeaway from any accreditation understanding is that you need to find out let me put it this way. If you know you want to work at a specific gym, you walk into that gym or give them a call and say, hey, what personal training certifications do you accept? If you know you want to work at that gym and they tell you that they want NASM, you go and you get NASM because that's going to give you the best chance to be employed by that gym. If you let's say if you plan on working for yourself as like an entrepreneur or doing private training or even moving towards online training, that's where you can go through all of them. But really, when we think about being an entrepreneur in the fitness industry, there is specific education that's going to benefit you significantly more than what most major certifications teach, as the most certifications do gear themselves towards the gym job. But we at Fitness Mentors really took this sort of look and said, you know what, people are turning to the entrepreneur route way more often, and they're also moving into online training. So if you're looking to be an entrepreneurial trainer or a private trainer or an online trainer, the Fitness Mentor CPT is going to have the best education, as it really focuses on the business, sales, we'll say marketing aspects that really benefit and help you succeed as a private trainer, as an online trainer, as that sort of entrepreneur trainer route. So if you are thinking about more that entrepreneurial route, you want to be your own boss 100%, set up your own business online, in person, whatever it may be, the Fitness Mentor CPT is a great option for that. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is going to be price. All of these different certifications do have different entry-level pricing. That's for basically the way that we determine price is their least expensive starting study package that includes the test. And when we start to think about, if you are following us on our website under our blog, the particular prices are listed in a graph here, but just kind of going from, we'll say, most expensive down to least expensive. NASM and NSCA are typically the most expensive at right around $700 as their entry-level package. They do run sales occasionally that can help get that lower. But then you have your ACE, which their starting package, ACE, American Council on Exercise, is starting at $599. Then you have ACSM at around $520. ACSM is a little bit different because they don't necessarily have direct study packages, but they have different tiers of study materials that are included, like books and things like that. And you might even have to buy the test separate from the books. With NCSF, it's around $500. ISSA is around $500 starting. AFAA is around $500 starting. The NCCPT is around $478 starting. And then Fitness Mentors and NESTA are both around that $400 starting, or $399 for Fitness Mentors, and about $417 from what we've seen for NESTA. So that's basically price. When we think about price as a takeaway, it really depends. If you need a cheap certification because you have a job lined up, that less expensive certification that gets you the job that you want, go for it. When you start to think about the more expensive the certification, that's typically associated with the companies that have been around the longest, and they can charge a premium because they have maybe the most industry recognition, like your NASMs, like your ACE, which are pretty much the two of the top or the most expensive certifications to get started for. Okay, so that's just kind of the personal trainer takeaway as far as when you think about you moving into this industry. All right, and next we're going to be going over the pass rate for each of these exams. And really, when we think about the pass rate, if you consider yourself a poor test taker, like in high school or in college, you just hated taking tests, it stressed you out, this one might matter to you because you might want to pick one with a higher pass rate, as those are typically, we'll say, lower in stress when taking them. So just kind of going over the most ones that stand out. When we think about the best pass rate in the industry, that is ISSA, is once again, they allow you to take the test with no time limit over multiple weeks. So their pass rate is actually almost at 90% or 89.9. And then the lowest pass rate in the industry is ACSM, and that's at 54%, which is basically 1 in 2 people don't pass. And that's kind of because they don't necessarily have the best study programs, in my opinion. So, if you are looking at ACSM, just keep in mind that it is more of a science-based, a lot more, I don't want to say dry, but it's definitely more difficult to pass, I'll say. And yeah, there's a few that don't have any data on pass rates, like AFA. We didn't find any pass rates on that. And yeah, just kind of going over all of them really quickly. ACSM, 54% pass rate, like I mentioned. The NCSF is a 57% pass rate, or 57.4. NSCA is a 58% pass rate. So all of those are kind of in that 1 in every 2 fail. Next, we have NASM. NASM's at a 64.3% pass rate. That was updated I believe it was last year. Then ACE is at a 65% pass rate. NESTA is at a 65.4% pass rate. NCCPT is at a 65.9. And those are kind of like, when we start to think about the lower pass rates, all of those, maybe 7 or so, certifications are going to have the lower pass rates, either 1 in 2 or about 2 in 3, 1 in 3 to 1 in 2 fail those exams. And we start to think about the easier tests that are really, we'll say, going to be less stressful for you to get through, especially if you don't like taking tests. Both the Fitness Mentors CPT and the ISSA CPT are able to be taken at home. Fitness Mentors is one of the only 100% online education courses and online tests to become a certified personal trainer in the industry, really paving the way for that sort of at-home learning experience, comfort, and really progress in that sense. And then, so Fitness Mentors is at a 78% pass rate. And then ISSA, once again, is at that 90 or 89.9% pass rate. So, once again, the personal trainer takeaway on this, which is kind of, what do these pass rates mean? It's basically, if you consider yourself a poor test taker, you may want to focus on a test that's easier to pass. If you're a great test taker, you've never minded tests, you just have like that we'll say the study ethic and everything that gets you easily through information and you retain it very easily and well, that's when you can look more towards those, NASM, ACE, NSCA, ACSM, those sort of tests. All right, next is going to be the expected study time. How long is it going to take to get through the study process? So the expected study times, these are basically pulled off of the longest times that you should take to complete these. Once again, you can do these shorter because if you do have more time during the day to study and complete these, like for instance, if you're able to study 2 hours a day, that drops these study times significantly. But the NCCPT is around 80 to 100 hours of recommended study time. The Fitness Mentor CPT is anywhere from about 2 to 6 months, or around 80 total hours of study time. The NESTA certification, basically you can study for as long as you need, but as soon as you finish your studies and purchase a test voucher, you have 90 days to complete the test. With ACSM, there's actually, they have different options for lengths of time of study, a 3-month option, a 6-month option, a 12-month option, and a 24-month option, all based on how long you need to get through the material. Then ACE recommends that you schedule the test before 6 months of purchase, but it can take at least or up to 9 months to get through the material. ISSA is 6 months, NASM 6 months, NCSF is 6 months, NSCA is 120 days after purchasing the exam, but you can study their materials prior to that. NFPT is about 12 months after purchasing the exam, so you have a full year there. And AFA, we don't have any data on. But basically, the personal trainer takeaway here is, when do you need to be certified by? If you need to be certified as quickly as possible and you have the time to commit, you may want to go with one of those shorter study times as far as the material to get, or how long it takes you to get through that material. If you don't have a lot of study time and you don't need to get it too quickly, this, we'll say, statistic doesn't matter too much to you. All right, so next is going to be the number of test questions that make it onto the exam. So the number of test questions, this is very simple. Just kind of prepping this is, if you don't like tests, if you hate taking tests, you get stressed out, you may want to choose a certification exam with a lower amount of questions, or a fewer amount of questions in that sense. So I'll just kind of run through these relatively quickly. These are the exam sort of passing statistics and number of questions and time associated with each test. NASM is 120 questions, 120 minutes, with a 70% or higher passing passing score, in the sense of you need to score above a 70% on the exam to pass. ACSM, 120 questions, 120 minutes, but you need to score a 68.75 or higher to pass. And then you have your fitness mentors. This is 100 questions in 120 minutes with a 70% or higher to pass. The fitness mentors is the least amount of questions in these exams at 100 questions. Next, you have AFA at 120 questions, 120 minutes, 70% or higher. NFPT, 120 questions, 120 minutes, 70% or higher is passing. And then we get to a little bit higher exams, like NESTA is 125 questions, 120 minutes, and a 69% or higher is passing. NCCPT, 140 questions, 120 minutes, 72.7 score or higher is passing. NCCSF, 150 questions, 3 hours or 180 minutes, 62% or higher is passing. ACE, 150 questions, 180 minutes, and 62.5% or higher. NSCA is 155 questions, 180 minutes, 70% or higher is passing. And then ISSA is 160 questions, unlimited time like before, but it does require a 75% or higher score for passing, which is the highest required score to pass in the industry. So once again, what does this really mean? If you are looking for a lower amount of questions because you don't like taking tests, that fitness mentors, NASM, or maybe ACSM, those ones might be a better option. If you don't mind taking tests, then you're looking at, or don't mind longer tests or want that extra time, 150 questions is those higher tests. That's like ACE or ACE and or NSCA, NCSF. Those are the ones with, we'll say, more questions, but a little bit more time. So kind of just whatever you feel you'd be most comfortable with is what is recommended. All right, next is going to be the CEU requirements. So these are all pretty general. I don't really want to spend every second going over every one of these number of hours. But basically, how much is it to recertify and how many continuing education hours are required over a 2-year period. Pretty much every one of them has a 2-year period except for ACSM and NFPT and NSCA. ACSM requires you to recertify every 3 years, and NSCA is every 3 years as well. NFPT is every year. You need to be getting those, we'll say, continuing education hours. But the most common area is 20 credit hours, or 20 hours of continuing education every 2 years, so 10 hours per year. And typically it's around $99 to recertify, and that's every 2 years. Very common industry standard. The ones that stand out from that are going to be ACE is $129, and NCSF is $50 to renew. And then one thing I didn't mention is that NESTA requires you to recertify every 4 years and is $150. So just some things to think about. Really, when you think about this, guys, when we think about continuing our education as a personal trainer, you always have to be improving because you want to be better. You want to be good at your job. You want to help your clients more. And that's really important. So don't think of CEUs as a burden in any way. Think of it as, I get to continue learning so I can help my clients more, be better at my craft. And to be honest, a lot of times I recommend focusing your continuing education on business, marketing, sales, or even online training, as the future of this industry, the future of individuals being personal trainers is online. Everything's moving that way, and you understanding how to market yourself, how to create the the interest in your services as an online trainer or as a personal trainer in general, that's where you're going to be the most successful in your career because you're going to get more clients that way. Okay, a lot of times I do see trainers jump straight into more kinesiology or more sciences around muscles or things like that, or different methods of training. As you get experience in the industry, you're going to be exposed to that all the way through from different trainers and different or in the gyms doing seminars, different things like that. So I always push people more towards the marketing, sales, the business building elements, so that ensures that you're successful. And especially in those first 1 to 2 years when you're growing in confidence, if you can grow in confidence in business and sales, marketing, getting clients, lead generation, closing sales, that makes you more money right away, and then you get more experience when you train more clients. So keep that in mind, but that's just my 2 cents on continuing education. But we do offer also, Fitness Mentors offers a ton of really good business courses. We have our certified online personal trainer certification, first certification of its kind. That's a certified online personal training certification, which helps you build your business online and teaches you how to train clients through the internet in 6 different ways, which if you go to our online certification tab on our website, you can learn all about how to take your business online. And then, really just that's kind of the elements in which we point you towards. But then we also have, our pain management specialist, program design specialist, and special populations exercise specialist, because those are, people need to safely and effectively take people through fitness programs, and that's very important as well. So definitely check those out under the continuing education tab on our website. All right, and then next we're moving into the popularity of each certification. And when we start to think about popularity, we just did it solely by the number of people going through these programs, becoming CPTs through each certification body. So the most, we'll say, every year, the most popular, the most students going through any certification program for personal training is through NASM. They have over 22,000 attempts every year, and it is also, because it is the most popular, that's why it is more expensive. And just basically, when you start to think about the people that take each certification the most, you also have to think about the number of marketing dollars that they have to get out there. So NASM is definitely probably one of the biggest spenders on advertising and marketing to draw interest. So they're what we would call kind of big business in that sense. So they are spending a ton for that. But then, just to run over some basic numbers as far as popularity or number of test takers. ACE is second as far as number of test takers, and that's about 13,000 test takers. ISSA is around 10,700 attempts per year. ACSM is around 5,000. NFPT is around 2,700. NSCF is around 2,500. And the rest basically, we'll say, fall just a little bit as they're kind of up and coming, or they aren't spending as much on advertising, and are really, basically setting themselves up for future growth in the sense, really trying to jump into the battle with NASM for that top spot, or move up at least. But really, once again, when we think about the personal trainer takeaway here, the company spending the most on marketing is typically the one that's going to have the most test takes. NASM is great with their marketing. You'll hear their radio commercials, TV commercials. You'll see their ads on Instagram, Facebook, social media, everywhere. So they have a dedicated team of, I'm sure, like 40 people creating this sort of advertising and marketing campaigns. All right. So on top of that, the next thing we're going to focus on is going to be the primary focus of education. And this is kind of, I really do like this part, because a lot of you are out there probably thinking, which certification is going to align with me the best? And what do you want to learn the most about? Okay. So just to kind of go through these and explain a little bit about their primary focus. And we pulled this based off of, what their test emphasizes, as well as what we see in their overall curriculum. So NASM is going to basically be exercise technique and training instruction. They do have their OPT model that they kind of focus on and build their exercise technique and training around that. ACE is more about behavioral modification for fitness goals. ACE is a little bit more psychology based for those of you that are kind of comparing NASM and ACE. ACE is way more on, how can we mentally assist our clients in getting towards a goal. To where NASM is really focused on the training instruction, the program design elements. Fitness Mentors is really going to be about program design, about making effective fitness programs, and then also, once again, that entrepreneurial route around business, marketing, sales, client acquisition. Fitness Mentors really emphasizes that, as that's, when we start to think about success as a personal trainer, the people that know how to get clients are typically the ones that are most successful. And then you gain a ton of experience when you're getting more clients because you get more experience in the training elements. So that's really what we focused on, is to really assist you in your career growth quickly so that you really get the experience you need to grow further and become a better trainer on the other aspects of program design and technique and cueing, things like that. NSCA is techniques of exercise. ACSM is exercise leadership. Client education, teaching clients how to achieve their fitness goals. NESTA is on business applications. NCCPT is exercise application. ISSA is program design. NCSF is exercise prescription and programming considerations. NFPT is goal-oriented program design in a user-friendly kind of format. So once again, the personal trainer takeaway, when we really start to think about what drives the major focus of education, the NCCA regulation really emphasizes that that certifications that are we'll say accredited by NCCA typically have a similar breakdown in curriculum, and that's why you notice that a lot of those have similar focuses of education. So the NCCA requires that you do a job task analysis in which it shows, personal trainers spend most of their time, or 30% of their time doing this. So 30% of the test should match that. Personal trainers spend, 5% of their time doing business things. That's where so 5% of the test. The one problem with that is that when we start to think about being successful as a personal trainer, and I always use this analogy or this comparison is if you're the best trainer in the world, but you don't know how to get clients, no one knows you're the best personal trainer in the world. If you're the best personal trainer in the world and you can only get 3 to 6 clients at a time, you're not effectively helping people the way that you should be. So when we think about where personal trainers should spend most of their time, it's client acquisition, it's building their business, it's marketing, it's understanding the ways that you can work to get clients on a daily basis. That's honestly, in my opinion, where most of the focus of your initial starting out as a personal trainer should be. And that's really why we included that as our primary focus of education. So next we're going to be moving into average income. And average income is just kind of basically, it's a general overview around what we'll say, government agencies that do labor statistics kind of encourage. And without going into too much detail, it's around 40,000-ish for every certification. That's kind of the entry-level personal training, we'll say, wage is around 40,000 as a full-time 40-hour per week personal trainer. And that's kind of if you're in a gym is where they typically find those measurements. So your 24-hour fitness, your maybe Lifetime Fitness, those sort of larger gyms, you're typically starting around that $40,000 range. And we even did our previous podcast was about personal trainer salary, how much to make. So definitely go back one podcast and check that out. Or if you're on YouTube, check out the video previous to this, and you can see all about personal training salary. But yeah, right around 40,000 is where you kind of start. Each certification claims a little bit different. Those studies are a little bit older. So yeah, I'm not going to place too much emphasis on the average income based on certification. Okay. Next is going to be the retake fee. The retake fee does vary per exam. The most retake fees range from about, anywhere from $100 to $200. The outliers are NSCA. NSCA is actually a retake fee of $435, which is pretty much purchasing the exam again entirely. And then Fitness Mentors and AFA are the least expensive retake fees. Fitness Mentors is $50 and AFA is $75. So just kind of the basic takeaway there is If you plan to fail, which we would never encourage, that's what it would cost to retake the exam. Basically, ensure that you have studied effectively. If you are studying for NASM or ACE, we offer study tools to assist you in passing that exam with an extremely high pass rate, 99% across the board for our Plus and Pro packages. So definitely keep that in mind if you are looking at ACE or NASM. And then, basically, so when I think of this, kind of those are all the major categories that we're going to go over. But when I think about, who should you pick as your personal training certification? And I really emphasize that you pick, if it's, you want to work at a gym, you go ask that gym and you pick the one that they tell you to, because it'll give you the highest likelihood to be hired. Next is, if you are going to be a private trainer, online trainer, entrepreneurial route trainer, in which you're selling fitness programs, or really just basically, if you're going to be an entrepreneur as a fitness professional, go with the Fitness Mentor CPT. The business education elements are huge and a primary focus, and that's, if you're going to be a private personal trainer, you go with NASM, there's barely any education on how to succeed as a entrepreneurial trainer. Same thing with almost every other certification, because they have to follow those NCCA standards and guidelines with very specific focus to 30%. The Fitness Mentors also does have an option for NCCA, and that's why we're able to focus a little bit of our curriculum skewed towards what actually it does take to be successful as a personal trainer. So in that option, you can really focus or because of that option, you can really focus your studies on, we'll say, the things that will make you successful as a private personal trainer. And to be honest, guys, kind of every personal trainer is pretty much works independently and gets their own clients, and almost even in most major gym chains. So there's definitely a benefit to understanding the business side, and that's really what we've focused on. And those are kind of the main two things that I would point you towards when we start to think about getting potentially, or just to explain the option for NCCA accreditation with Fitness Mentors. We've actually partnered with NFPT, which is NCCA accredited, and in our certifications, you can get two CPT certifications for the price of one. Fitness Mentors education all the way through, with an NFPT exam and a Fitness Mentors CPT exam. So that's really where we run into the two certifications for the price of one. NCCA accredited, nationally recognized by the NBFE, kind of that really standard that will allow you to be employed anywhere, and will also give you that really good education towards the private elements and client acquisition, sales, marketing elements of that, which will really lead to a higher likelihood of success for you. So, but yeah, basically, in just kind of summarizing and wrapping this up, what do you want to learn about can also be a determining factor around which certification you choose. And really, you need to choose the one that relates best to you. If you want the most popular certification, that's NASM. If you want the certification that focuses on something specific, go with that one. If you want more of that private entrepreneurial route, online personal trainer route, Fitness Mentors is going to be your best option. So kind of, look through this. Tell me what you think. I want you to comment below and really, if you have any questions, we're always here to answer them. Do your research. If you're comparing two, we have a direct comparison to NASM ACE and Fitness Mentors on our site as well. And based around that, just definitely reach out, comment below. And we really just want to hear which certification you went for, why you went for it. And, we're always here to assist you when it comes to your success as a personal trainer. And that's really what we're here at Fitness Mentors to do, is really to, you have a track to make more money or to be successful in this industry. And we want to help you every step of the way, whether that be through helping your clients further, understanding client retention, getting more clients. That's really what we're here to assist you with, and really become the best you and become the best personal trainer in your careers. So with that in mind, definitely check out this blog on our site. Definitely check out the Fitness Mentor CPT certification. If you decide to go with NASM or ACE, we do have study materials that will help you get through that in a significantly easier way than NASM and ACE study materials through their websites. We can really emphasize what you need to know to pass those exams. So that's something really beneficial there. But on top of that, guys, thanks so much for checking this podcast out. We will be back next week, so I will see you then, and continue kicking butt in your careers. Cheers, guys.
As always, thanks for listening to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast. You can learn more about Fitness Mentors at fitnessmentors.com. Be sure to share this podcast on social media. And remember, we are here to help you succeed.